When I asked veterans about a guest speaker today, the reply was loud, clear, and unanimous. They said, "Get Tom Suprock." They all pointed to the inspiring, moving speech done without notes that Tom gave here on Memorial Day weekend 2 years ago. The getting was easy. Tom will drop anything for his brothers, and that's exactly what he said. "I'll do it for my brothers from Vietnam." Thomas G. Suprock was an air cavalry scout helicopter pilot in Vietnam. He was shot down multiple times and was wounded several times. He holds 24 medals for valor, including the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Purple Heart, the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry, the Air Medal, and the Rhode Island Cross. Tom represented Rhode Island and its Vietnam veterans at the groundbreaking for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. Our friend, Tom Suprock.
I'm impressed, and I mean impressed, and I'm not kidding. Not just for what this town is doing for Sergeant Wilkinson, but I'm looking at how many people have come together for Sergeant Wilkinson, how this town came together for Sergeant Wilkinson. Your representatives, the people here that knew them, the people that know this fine woman. The one thing I wanted to talk about today was combat. Unless you've been there, unless it has been your job to squeeze a trigger to kill someone else before they kill you, you don't know what it is. You find something down inside of you that you didn't know was there. You find emotions and feel emotions with an intensity that you have never felt before in your life. But what happened with Sergeant Wilkinson? Sergeant Wilkinson got to Vietnam on the 4th of January, 1968. Sergeant Wilkinson died on the 23rd of February, 1968. Sergeant Wilkinson had been in Vietnam for 6 weeks. When the Tet Offensive happened, Ben Hoa Air Base was attacked by the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong because it was a vital installation. They wanted to get into the air base so that they could take out aircraft. They wanted to blow up the aviation fuel. They wanted to make a statement. As they were making that statement all over the rest of the country in over 100 places, all at the same time. Sergeant Wilkinson and I actually have a bond. Sergeant Wilkinson was an aviation mechanic that worked on the kind of aircraft that I flew. 6 weeks in country, a mechanic picked up a rifle and went to help his brothers. When you talk about heroes, you're never going to hear a combat veteran ever call himself a hero. Not ever. As a matter of fact, we reject the term. You know, I've had bullets hit me. I've had bullets take my aircraft out of the sky. I know what fear is. I know what the fear is before you go into combat, but once you get into combat, all else goes away. And you fight, but you don't fight for yourself. It isn't about me. It's about the people around you. You fight to keep the people around you alive. You fight for your brothers. Sergeant Wilkinson fought for his brothers. He went out, 6 weeks experience, not even trained as an infantry soldier, and went out and fought for his brothers to save his base and to save the men that were around him. That's guts. That's courage. And that's the kind of motivation that happens when you're placed in a situation where you're in combat. Sergeant Wilkinson didn't plan on dying. Nobody ever does. Nobody ever goes to war and says, well, it's going to be me. That doesn't happen. It's always going to be somebody else. But when you get to that point in time, and it happened to me, where you say to yourself, this is it. I'm not making it out of this. I'm done. I'm a dead man. You don't quit. You don't stop. Because even though you're about to die, your brothers still need you. I came out of the sky in an aircraft where the whole left side of that aircraft was on fire. I was flying that day as the front seat of a Cobra. The whole left side of the aircraft was on fire, and we were falling like a streamlined manhole cover right down into the people who had shot us down. You're dead. But we never stopped. You don't give up. You keep fighting because there are other people out there who needed us. So our last breaths were going to be fighting the enemy. Sergeant Wilkinson's last breath was fighting the enemy. That's courage. They're the heroes. When you raise your right hand and you join the military, you are writing a check to the United States government and the people thereof for a value of anything up to including your life. The government will cash that check. Question is, what price are you going to have to pay? Once you're in combat, you paid the price. Because Galen, the Greek man of medicine, 2,500 years ago said, all those who have been in mortal combat are casualties, whether they be wounded or not. And that's a fact. You find out more about yourself in combat than you will ever find out about yourself in any other situation, because you are fighting for your life. And you are fighting for the lives of your brothers. Sergeant Wilkinson was fighting for the lives of his brothers. Sergeant Wilkinson deserves this honor more than most people I can imagine. And all combat veterans that I know, when you ask them who the heroes are, they'll direct you to a wall in Washington where the names are carved. Those are heroes. Sergeant Wilkinson is a hero. He'll always be a hero. And forever, everybody will be able to go to Washington, D.C. or drive across the bridge with his name on it and understand what kind of a hero Sergeant Wilkinson was. He's certainly a hero to me. All these decorations don't mean anything. They don't mean anything. I made it. He didn't. I'd give them all up. Wouldn't matter. But I can't bring anybody back. Nobody can come back. But he gave his life for you. For you. All you standing here. That's who he died for. And that's the one thing that you must never ever forget, is that the heroes died for you. And I'll tell you, from what I've seen today, he did it for some really, really fine people. And I'm very proud and very much honored to have had the opportunity to speak to you and tell you, man, how brave your son was, how much courage he had, and how many brothers he has. Because we consider them our brothers. We consider them our heroes. All Vietnam vets are brothers, especially the combat vets, because we understand. We understand. We understand what he went through. The thing is, we were just lucky enough to make it. And believe me, it was by luck alone that I'm standing here today. And it's by luck alone that I'm surrounded with a couple other combat vets that were here today. Luck alone. I'll close quickly by saying, first of all, thank you. It's dry. Could have been otherwise. And I also want to thank you again, the town of Warren, for this outpouring for this great young man, this courageous young man, and certainly my hero. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sergeant Wilkinson. Thank you.